Hey guys, it's Matthew here today with the Blade Vortex Selfcast character on the Talisman Softcore League. I am quite struggling to figure out exactly what I want to do with this character and how I would best build it, because Blade Vortex is actually, while I have mentioned and shown to you guys it's really amazing for leveling, I'm not at all sure how to take this build into the endgame still. The problems I'm having is how to scale damage while maintaining survivability with this sort of build, because you can't really get away without building any sort of damage. Now right now I have just respec the character into pure life base, whereas I was using Eldritch Battery beforehand. With this pure life base character I am running a life leech in my setup as well as Vile Pact. So that does give me a very quite large element of tankiness and survivability, but only when I'm hitting things. So at range, it's kind of a bit of a risk. And the other problem is Let me think. I feel like I just kind of run out of damage. Like for these level map right here, 73, you can see I'm doing some pretty good steamroll. It's just a blue map, so it's not a big deal. But when you take, I'm pretty certain that when you start taking on 76 plus maps with some bad map mods and the like, that it's gonna start feeling pretty awful. Now that said, I do still have a bit of damage left to go. I'm only on a 5 link. I could use some upgrades here and there, but I can't see myself getting too much more damage. I will take you guys through this build if you actually want to play it at this stage that it's at, but I feel like I've still got quite a bit of work to go before I can be happy with releasing the build to the public. It's actually quite satisfying though in the lower to mid tier maps, so anything up to about 75. If that's all you're looking for, then this build is amazing and is very, very fun. For that, I could definitely recommend it. I'm just afraid of taking it into the end game. As you can see, for bosses it's still absolutely incredible, even though my mana right now is bad, so I can't really stack up to 50 or anything, because I have not fixed my mana problem yet. 20 stacks right there, all it takes to absolutely steamroll the boss. Now on top of that, you don't have to use Blood Rage. I've only just started messing around with it because I have a lot of leech, and it gives me a few extra frenzy charges, which is rather nice for attack speed, cast speed, and damage. So with enough leech, it's somewhat worth doing, I'd say. But that was a pretty quick clear of a fairly easy map, just 73. So take you guys through the setup itself. Essentially, I was EB just before this respec, so I had about 1300 ES, and that's fine, but I felt like I wasn't really getting that much out of EB as it was. So right now I'm just using a crit dagger, and feel like this is probably the most comfortable way to play the build with whirling blades. If you get really fast whirling blades, then it would be extremely nice for the playstyle, just to be able to build up and whirl through everything super quick. Alternatively, running is actually rather comfortable too, but you eventually will probably run out of flask, and as well as that, you don't get enough crit without using a dagger. So a dagger with crit and some spell power, crit multi, that's always good. I'm currently using some face breakers just because Malagaris cost 2 exalts on this league, so 60 crit multi is actually pretty nice, but Malagaris would be preferred. This was my hybrid helm that I was using, just life, some good resist, and some ES. Currently using a shield with lots of spell power and some life and a bit of resist. I feel that if I was going to commit to this life-based build fully, it's probably going to be dual daggers. Maybe a Divinaris and an offhand, maybe another dagger, something like this. Filling out a lot of crit and crit multi is fairly important for the build. Got ourselves an amulet, just some high crit multi, some life, that's really kind of what you're looking for. And a couple of rings. Now, what's actually tough with the build is getting enough dexterity, because as you can see, Blade Vortex is 155. The build does not run around to too much dexterity, so you're going to need a bit on your rings or your amulet. I currently have 30 there and 29 there. Now, Immortal Flesh, that's really got nothing to do with anything anymore, but I was using it for Eldritch Battery. That's something that a lot of people might not know. That's 73 life per regen per second. Gets converted to your life regen for Energy Shield when you're using Eldritch Battery Zealot's Oath, and that's worth roughly 4% life regen. A lot of people aren't too comfortable with losing 5 to max resistances, but I feel it's very worth it to sustain your energy shield on an EB build. It's an extreme amount of energy shield regen, and other than that, it's still a fairly tanky build. 5 to max res, doesn't really matter too much if you actually dodge spell stuff. And lastly, just some boots with run speed and life. So as far as the passive tree itself goes, like I said, I just respec out of Mind Over Matter, Eldritch Battery, and Zealot's Oath. So from there, I filled out the entire life wheel here. Got these life nodes as well because I am now with using mana, so the mana's pretty good. And basically went and grabbed Vile Pact as well, so that actually gets my life leech working extremely effectively. Without Vile Pact, I felt like life leech on this skill just kinda wasn't doing enough, which is essentially the whole reason I spec'd out of EB. So my current setup is Blade Vortex, Added Chaos, Spell Echo, Faster Casting, and Life Leech. These are my staples right here, and I'm really not sure how to do the 5th link at the moment. You can go with Added Chaos. It does a fair chunk of extra chaos to the skill, as you can see. From 6k it goes up to about 7k. You can do increased area, that gives you a whole bunch more area, but no tooltip. You can go with Fist of Lightning. That is roughly the same amount of damage as the added chaos, except it will convert a bunch of your fizz into lightning, meaning you can also shock at that point. So I play around with both Fist of Lightning and added chaos at this stage. Fist of Lightning is better on some maps, added chaos is better on others. I'm really not too sure how to scale this skill into the end game yet. Still got some testing to do and some things to figure out, for I'm not that good. You got your standard Whirling Blades, faster attacks, and Fortify. Why wouldn't you? That is amazing. And then lastly, I'm using Herald of Ice attached to Curse on Hit and Assassin's Mark. So as you can see, we get all of our cold damage from the Hatred conversion, as well as Herald of Ice. And if you don't have a substantial amount of crit multi, then you probably won't be shattering too much and actually proccing your Herald of Ice to get power charges. If you're finding you're running into that problem, another good solution is to have Blade Vortex, power charge on crit, and an increased duration wherever you can fit it in your setup. So what that essentially does is you cast your right click, which is your main setup, and every now and again you just press your E, which is regular Blade Vortex with power charge on crit. So you cast, let's just let these wear off and I'll show you exactly what's happening. So you cast your normal attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you cast that one and 7. So you have 6 stacks of your main damage, and then 1 stack of your power charge on crit. Throughout that, you're running around and hitting, you're actually gaining power charges from your Blade Vortex at that point. So it's a very effective way to keep up your power charges for this build as well as for cast on crit. Lastly, I was using Enduring Cry, but I might end up swapping to Rallying Cry just to help sustain my mana a bit better. I haven't quite figured out my mana at this stage. It's not too bad. I'll probably just grab a Vile Clarity if nothing else, and that'll let me cast during times that I want to stack up lots and lots of stacks. But at this stage, that's okay. Alternatively, you can also use some Warlord's Mark action. That'll cover your Life Leech and your Mana Leech, and that is something I'm definitely thinking about as well. I'm just wary of Curse Immune monsters and maps. So I don't feel like it's the be-all end-all solution. I will post up both the Eldritch Battery tree, which works pretty well, but ultimately I feel like this is probably more worth doing, the life one, and I'll also post up the life one. I still have quite a bit of testing to go and things to figure out on how to actually play this character to its most effectiveness. But at this stage, it's still pretty worth playing, and you guys can certainly have a go. This was a level 84 Shadow. I was Mathel. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.